Verbs convey when actions or events occur, how often these actions or events occur, and the relationship between actions and events. So verbs carry a great deal of information in our sentences. Knowing how to show specific, clear, and precise time relationships between events can help you express yourself in a sophisticated way in English. In this video, we'll review some important points about verbs such as tense, aspect, mood, and voice so that you can gain a big picture of verbs in English. If you are interested in knowing more about the individual tenses, the next submodules in this module will discuss them in more detail. When you ask people how many verb tenses there are in English, it's common for people to assume that there are 16. However, there are actually only 3 tenses in English: present, past, and future. Verb tenses refer to the time that an action or event occurs. What a lot of people consider verb tenses are actually verb aspects. Rather than time, aspect indicates how long an action occurs within the verb tense. In English, we have 4 aspects: simple, progressive, perfect, and perfect progressive. Now, this might seem confusing, but it's actually helpful to think about verbs in this way. Let's break it down. Let's consider, first of all, the simple aspects. They are the most basic verbs in English: simple present, simple past, and simple future. Simple present is formed using the verb itself with no auxiliary verb or helping verb. We use simple present to express habitual or repeated actions or events, such as, for security, employees change their passwords regularly. We also use simple present to express basic facts, truths, or processes. Water covers 70% of the Earth's surface. Because of this, simple present is one of the most commonly used verb tenses when writing for school. Another very commonly used verb tense is, of course, simple past. And simple past is used for a completed action or event in the past. It's not necessary to specify when it occurred, but it's fairly common. They didn't attend the conference last week. With simple past, pay attention to those irregular verbs. It's fairly easy to add the past ending ed to regular verbs, but for irregular verbs, you'll have to memorize those irregular forms and know them well. A sheet of the most common irregular verbs is available to download below this video. Simple future can be expressed using either will or be going to plus the infinitive form of the verb without much change in meaning, although will sounds more formal and is therefore more used in writing. A new aerospace facility will open next year. Let's now move on to the progressive aspect, or you might have also heard it called continuous as well. In general, the progressive aspect gives the idea that an action or event is in progress during a particular time, whether that time be now, in the present, in the past, or in the future. The verbs in this aspect are all formed in a similar way, using the be verb and adding the present participle or verb ing form to it. Another note is that this aspect emphasizes an action, so we usually use this with action verbs such as work, create, calculate, or do. So first of all, present progressive. We use the present form of the verb be and add verb ing. We use present progressive for an action or event happening at the moment. I am sending you a revised copy of my report. We also use it for temporary situations and trends. We're spending a lot on marketing, but we're still not attracting enough clients. Next, past progressive. Here we'll take be and change it into the past before we add verb ing. We use past progressive for an action or event in the past that was happening when another action or event happened. We also use it for longer actions or events in the past. While our team was studying performance, the other team was looking at communication. And future progressive, where we will use the future of be and then add verb ing. We use future progressive for an action or event that will be in progress when another future action or event occurs. Hopefully, by this time next year, we will be working in this company. Now let's move on to the perfect aspect. This can be a little confusing sometimes, but in general, the perfect aspects indicate that one action or event occurs before another one. They are generally formed using the auxiliary verb have and adding the past participle form of the verb. In regular verbs, the past participles are formed by adding ed to the base form of the verb, but for irregular verbs, you must memorize the simple past form and the past participle form. See below for a resource listing the most common irregular past participles. Present perfect. We form present perfect using the present tense of have and adding the past participle. This is one of the most common verbs to use in English, and it's also a little tricky to understand. We often use present perfect to describe an action or event which is not defined by time. For example, she has finished her assignment. We don't know when she did that, we just know that she did. Or here, the truck has not left the site yet. No time specified. We can also use this to describe an action or event which started in the past and has continued until now. He has worked in this field for 5 years. With past perfect, a past action or event was completed before a second past action or event. For this, we use had and add the past participle to it. The action or event which happened first is the one that uses past perfect, while the second action or event will be in simple past. Researchers had hoped to complete the study by 2020, but found that they did not have enough data. There's the first action, and then the second action. Future perfect is quite similar to this. Using will plus have plus past participle, future perfect signifies a future action or event will be completed before a second future action or event. Again, the first action or event uses the future perfect form. By the time I finish my degree, I will have created my new website. Again, here's the first action and here's the second. Finally, the perfect progressive aspect. As the name suggests, it combines the perfect and the progressive aspects, so it is used to express ongoing actions that started and continue until a certain point, whether that be in the past, the future, or right now. To form the perfect progressive aspects, we use have plus been plus the present participle. Present perfect progressive is formed using have plus been plus verb ing, and it describes an action or event started at some point in the past which may not yet be complete at the moment. We tend to use this form to emphasize the duration of an action. We have been importing this material for many years. Past perfect progressive, using had plus been plus verb ing, describes a past action or event which progressed for some time in the past until another time or event occurred. For example, I had been working on my project for a few weeks when I got a brilliant idea. And finally, future perfect progressive, formed using will plus have plus been plus verb ing. We use this to denote a future action or event will progress for some time until another time or event in the future. We will have been practicing for 2 hours by the time it's our turn to present. Well, as if tense and aspect aren't enough, we also have verb moods, which allow the speaker to show a certain attitude. There are 4 moods in English. The indicative mood conveys information or facts. Most of the examples we have looked at so far are in the indicative mood. Next, the imperative mood issues commands or requests, like take out your textbooks. The conditional mood is used for expressing hypotheticals or unreal situations, and we use words such as if and would. If the building had been better designed to withstand earthquakes, the number of deaths would have been reduced. And finally, the subjunctive mood expresses wishes, desires, and doubts. I wish I were better at math. However, it's very common nowadays for people to use the third person singular, in this case for informal situations. I wish I was better at math. The last point about verbs has to do with voice. Voice signifies the relationship between the subject of the sentence and the verb. There are two voices, active and passive, as in, the administration made the decision, or the decision was made. Passive is usually used when the doer of the action is unknown, unimportant, or not appropriate to mention. And that's it. It's a lot of information to take in, but having an overall idea of tense, aspect, mood, and voice can help you make better choices when using verbs in writing or speaking. Thanks for listening.